Wisconsin lost, and Melvin Gordon, running backs don't really have much of a chance anymore anyways, but that's about it. Maybe Nick Marshall.
Let me throw one more at you.
Yep.
Everett Golson, Notre Dame.
Yeah, I suppose.
Not feeling that one so much.
I just feel like Notre Dame is going to lose one, if not two games left on their schedule.
So is that a prerequisite for QB? Your team cannot lose a game for you to be Heisman eligible?
No, it's pretty much it nowadays. You can rename the Heisman as the quarterback on the best team pretty much in the last decade.
That's just annoying.
It is. They may as well just make it a quarterback award. There should be a Heisman or like a secondary award for best college football player non-quarterback. There really should be.
Absolutely. Absolutely, I agree. Just make it a quarterback award and make there another, a playmaker, best player who's not a QB.
Everyone else award.
Pretty much, because I get tired of every year becoming QB. And, Trey Carlson was in it last year, right?
Mm.
I can't remember who else over the recent history, but there have not been hardly any candidates who were not quarterbacks. It just gets frustrating. I understand they're the most important player on the field for almost every team, but there are players who excel so much in their positions that get overlooked for the QB. That's all. My 2 cents.
And I'm just looking up which game I think Notre Dame is going to lose, because I knew I have them penciled in for at least one loss, and they play at number 1 Florida State on October 18th. So
yes, they do play. In 2 weeks they play FSU. But let's look at Everett Golson. He's 15-1 as Notre Dame QB, the best winning percentage in Notre Dame school history.
When he's actually playing.
Well, okay. Fair enough, but I'm just saying his record as a starter.
Yeah.
This season, he's gone 114 for 178 passing,
mm-hmm.
13, almost 1,400 yards, 13 TDs, 3 INTs, and then 4 rushing TDs. He's doing something. That's all I'm saying.
My super, super dark horse for the Heisman is on the only 5-0 unranked team, which is Rakeem Cato of Marshall. He's put up pretty similar numbers to Golston, and Marshall is just straight up jacking fools. They have one of the weakest schedules being in Conference USA, but
that's what I was going to ask.
Their minimum, they've scored at least 42 points in all 5 of their wins so far, and their win differential is, I can't do the math, but it's probably about 30 points.
Conference USA isn't going to win crap. Let's be honest.
No, they are not. But, hey, if they run the table and then everyone up there, all the candidates have warts, I think there could be a strong case for Rakeem Cato. It's a replay of 1997 Randy Moss when he was a Heisman candidate. Sneaking up, just completely jacking fools, him and Chad Pennington doing work. I think Rakeem Cato as a quarterback, I think he might be a little sneaky.
All right. Well, let's wait and see, because I am not buying a Division I guy until it's time to pick that guy. It's just not going to happen.
You mean Big 5 conference?
No, yeah, exactly.
All right, because I was going to say, Marshall's D1, baby, come on.
Right. Well, I mean, not exactly, Big 5 conference, not Conference USA.
Yeah. And that got me curious. So I looked up 1997. Randy Moss is a redshirt sophomore. 4th in the Heisman voting, 96 receptions, 1,820 yards, and 26 touchdowns. Which is
okay.
Gross. That's so gross.
It is gross. It's a bit much. It's over the top.
Trivia. Who finished first in the Heisman balloting in 97, Claire?
I don't know. That's the year I graduated from college. I was busy doing things.
Well, you should be tuned in to college football when you're in college. Oh, yeah. Was Texas A&M not very good in 97?
They were decent. They weren't awful. Yeah, they were okay.
Wow. Charles Woodson, first defensive player to win the Heisman, blah, blah, blah. Peyton Manning 2, Ryan Leaf 3. Curtis Enos, number 5. And that's all she wrote there. So since we're talking about college football, this is the most in-depth we get into college football. It feels kind of nice.
Are you enjoying this?
I am, because I do consider myself a college football fan and very interested in like all the encompassing of the sport since I don't have like a hardcore allegiance like you do. Yeah, I kind of like the Gophers since they're my default geographical team, and they are playing pretty darn good this year.
Sure.
But yeah, college football, it's always interesting watching minor league NFL players go at it.
Right, exactly. That's kind of what it is, the farm system.
All right, so top 4 playoff for the NCAA farm system. First year of it, it's going to be pretty exciting. Claire, who's your top 4 teams as it stands right now?
As it stands right now, I'm going to go Auburn, Mississippi State, Arizona, and Notre Dame.
No Florida State.
Notre Dame beats Florida State.
What?
You heard me. You heard it here first, people.
What is this wizardry? What is this nonsense? What are you talking about?
Well, I can foresee the eventuality of Notre Dame going into Florida and beating Florida State. I think that would be a lot of fun. It would turn things on its ear. And while I'm not a big Notre Dame fan, I like the guy who no one thinks is going to win to be the winner. That's fun. Make it happen, Notre Dame.
It takes a special breed of team to make Notre Dame the likable underdog.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Well, I just really hate Florida State, so, either way, you want to look at it.
Well, what did Florida State ever do to you?
Jameis Winston. I don't want him to be successful. Let's just be honest. Yeah. I don't like his vibe. He puts off a vibe. I don't like it. I want him to lose.
No, and it's interesting that you put Mississippi State and Auburn in the Final Four because they play each other this Saturday, and they're from the same division of the SEC West, so only one of them is going to the SEC championship game. How's that going to work out? That's a lot of ping pong balls that got to fall just right.
It is, but you know what? I think that they could play out their schedules so impressively and play each other so impressively that the opportunity is there where the people who are deciding who these playoff teams are going to be look at them both and say, we can't leave one of them out.
Conde Rice, Archie Manning.
There you go, those guys.
All right, so who do you got winning this weekend with Auburn at Mississippi State? More cowbell.
I'm probably going to have to pick Auburn because they've just been there. They know. And Mississippi State is kind of new to the whole being on top of the world feeling. So I'm just going to go with it's going to be a very competitive game, in my opinion. And one team's going to have to win, and Auburn will be that team just because they're continuing their winning ways.
All right, number 2, Auburn beats number 3, Mississippi State at Mississippi State. What city are they from?
They're from Starksville.
Starksville, okay, because Oxford's Ole Miss. I got you.
Ole Miss, right.
And then Auburn continues on at number 3, Ole Miss, November 1st, versus Texas A&M at 13, Georgia, and lastly the Iron Bowl at number 7, Alabama. So they have a murderer's row schedule. And Mississippi State, if they lose, they're going to have to get a lot of things go their way because the only significant games they have after that is at Alabama on November 15th and then at Ole Miss on November 29th. And since they're both road games, if they come away with impressive victories, I suppose they probably could recover from a loss to Auburn. And as long as they don't lose to Tennessee Martin on the 8th. Come on.
Suck on your way to try and make it to the NCAA playoffs.
My SEC team, Vanderbilt.
Who are your 4 playoff teams? Vandy, what?
Yeah, I kind of adopted Vanderbilt, but then I forgot about them, and apparently they really are crappy with Jonathan Franklin left. Yeah, so.
So who are you really picking?
My top 4 is Florida State, Auburn. I think Baylor's going to run the table, and Michigan State will somehow survive and get it done because I think Michigan State.
I like Michigan State.
Yeah, they'll beat Ohio State, and then they'll probably end up beating Ohio State again in the Big Ten title game.
That would be cool. That would be really cool.
Yeah, and Baylor really only has 2 big games left, Oklahoma and Kansas State. Big 12 doesn't have a championship game anymore since they don't have the number of teams, but I think they'll win out. Arizona is really interesting to me. They're 5-0, ranked number 10 currently, and they wrap up with they have that feather in the hat that beat Oregon at Eugene. Then the big games they have left is at number 18 UCLA, at 24 Utah, and versus number 20 Arizona State in the last game of the season. Then they have a championship game. So if they could get hot and win out, or maybe come away with one loss against a superior opponent on the road, I could maybe see them sneaking in, because RichRod is a wizard. RichRod's
he
back,
kind of
baby.
is. He really is.
No, the dude wins everywhere except for Michigan. But it might be Michigan's fault.
Let's just blame Michigan. It feels like it's Michigan's fault.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
I felt really bad when RichRod left West Virginia, because that seemed just like such a great marriage. And I read the book, 3 and Out, which is mostly about RichRod and Michigan and how that didn't work out. But a lot of the prelude stuff was about him and West Virginia and how it was such a great dynamic that I kind of wish he would have just stayed and built up a powerhouse program in Morgantown.
Well, and then you just never know what the future's going to hold for you. And so he took a chance, and good for him for taking a chance, in my opinion. I think more highly of the guy who takes a chance than the guy who sits tight for something safe, that feels safe, So I understand why he did it. Can't fault him for that. But he's fun. And then Arizona, only once in the history of the AP, has a team gone from unranked to being ranked in the top 10. So that's kind of major.
Who knew that? Now, does Arizona have the second best state for football currently? Number one's Mississippi. They might, because
we're just talking about like current collegiate victories.
Arizona State is ranked and came off that huge win over an overrated USC, but still it's USC at USC. Arizona's doing things with RichRod, and I don't know. Well, Alabama still can't sleep on them because Auburn's still
because Auburn's there, right?
Yeah. And Troy. Don't forget Troy.
Who forgot Troy? Who would forget Troy?
Everybody forgets Troy. Ooh, Alabama State with such esteemed alumni as Tavares Jackson.
Oh, T-Jax. Super cool. Awesome.
They're the Hornets, by the way.
Oh, my mistake.
I think they're the Hornets. I might be wrong now. All right, so Claire, what do you think about the whole playoff system since it's being introduced now?
I honestly don't know what to think about it. I could see it happening where 4 teams get picked and it becomes like, how did these teams become the teams that we're supposed to be excited about? At the same time, it could be a knockdown drag out, and a lot of it's going to depend on team performances as opposed to the system, I think, in the beginning, till we can figure out what the norm is supposed to look like. It just seems very foreign. 4 teams. 4 teams! That's not really a playoff, hardly.
Well, 1AA, Division II, Division III, all have like 16 or 32 team playoffs. I forget which one it is, and that seems to work out aight.
Why can't they have like a full field of whoever's playing best? I mean, I don't know. It kind of gets double-edged sword, because you don't want the team that just turns it on at the end of the season to be the team that runs the tables in the playoffs and takes the win, or do you? Because that's exciting. People like exciting. But what about the team that performed perfectly throughout the first, say, 3 months of the season, and then something happened, they had injuries, and they fall apart a little bit at the end of the year?
See, I'm definitely in the minority here, but I didn't mind the BCS because it seemed like they always got 1 versus 2 correct. I mean, say what you will about the other bowl games. 1 versus 2 seemed to always be correct. So maybe that year that Auburn at 12-0 got left out, but someone was going to get left out there.
Yeah, it's bound to happen. I mean, you can't include everybody in a 2-team championship. That's it. So it is what it is.
I kind of like the old system where it was only the top 2 teams get to play it for it all, and where every single week was like sudden death, was like the playoffs. But now a team could lose a game or 2 early and can recover, and then you can still get in the 4-team playoff. And also it leaves very few excuses. If you can't get into the top 4, since it's double what top 2 used to be,
right,
that's on you and your team.
Right, absolutely. It does leave very few excuses, which I guess is nice. But I don't know. I just need to see it in action before I can say, oh, it's going to be great or it's going to be awful.
Speaking of great or awful, and just bringing it home here with 2 items for college football, Katy Perry.
Oh.
Katy Perry, baby, come on.
What's going on with her? Why was she talking about football on TV this weekend?
Well, they always have a celebrity